So as you prepare to write your examination, this is a special message that I have for you to share with you in relation to what you need to do so that you can better position yourself to pass your examination. You see, when you get into the exam hall, it is not about who taught you, it is not about what books you read, it's not about what questions you solve, it's all about what goes on in your mind. So it is very important for you to be able to deal with your emotion, deal with the pressure that you're going to be going through, deal with the time that you are looking at, and deal with other issues that are going on in your mind. Because these are the things that happens in the exam hall. Number one, in the exam hall, you realize that you are behind time. You feel you are behind time. So students don't finish reading the question that they are supposed to read because unconsciously it happens or it occurs to them that reading the question is more or less like a waste of time, which is actually critical to you because they just go to the requirements and they begin to scribble out things without exhaustively reading the question and comprehensively going through the questions. That is one of the pressures that they're going to be dealing with. Number two of the things that happen in the exam hall is when you hear 1 hour more or when you hear 1 hour is gone. So students realize that they pick the wrong question to start with, and so they spend a lot of time with the question, and now they are left with a limited time with numerous questions to go, and that is where the pressure sets in. So you realize that in the exam hall, it is not about who taught you, it is not even about the books you read, it is not about the questions you solved, it is not about what your lecturers told you, it is not about what Nhyira Premium told you, it is about what is going on in your mind and how you can put yourself under control and be able to do do what you are required to do in the exam hall. That is why it is very important for me to share this message with you so that you know that in the exam hall, it is not about who taught you, it is not about what questions you solve, it is not about who said what to you. In the exam hall, you're going to be operating with your mind, you're going to be operating with your brain, you're going to be operating under your own emotional imbalances. Now, so this is what you've got to do in the exam hall. You see, many people freak out in the exam hall, and they freak out, and the reason why they fail is not because they are not studious, may not be because they didn't attend lectures, may not even be because they didn't get a better lecturer or a good lecturer to teach them, but it could be because of what? The emotional imbalances and people's inability to deal with those things that they are going through. So there are a couple of tips that I'm going to be sharing with you that I want you to implement, that I want you to use, that I want you to guide yourself with, so that as you go into the exam hall, as you prepare yourself to position yourself, as you prepare yourself to pass the exams, you'll be able to leverage on some of these techniques and deal with the balances that you are having emotionally in relation to what you're doing. So the first thing I want you to do is that in the exam hall, what is going to happen is that you're going to be feeling a bit pressure. Now, normally the pressure starts if you start with the wrong question. Now, when I say the wrong question, I mean when you start with a question you thought you could answer, but realize that as you have started 15-20 minutes into it, you realize that you can't solve the question. So you stop doing it and you go to another question. Sometimes you touch the second question, you cannot also do it, you come back to the same question again. So this is what I want you to do. Now, I know this is going to be difficult for you. I know this is unusual. I know you may not have heard this before, and I know people would have, somebody somewhere may have told you it is not the best thing, but this is what I think you must do. This is what I know you must do so that you can position yourself strategically so you can pass this examination. Number one is this: you need to plan your work. Listen carefully. Now, when I say plan your work, you see, you're going to have 15 minutes reading time. During this 15 minutes, you've got to read through the question that you've got to read through. When you hear start work, don't start writing anything. Okay, when you hear start work, don't start writing anything because you've not really planned anything to write yet. Don't start writing anything because sometimes, especially, let's say for instance, you are writing financial reporting, so or corporate reporting, and students are adaptive when it comes to financial reporting and corporate reporting to first answer consolidated financial statement questions, not knowing that these questions come along with their own intriguing notes, their own confusing structures, their own confusing concepts that they must take into consideration. But because they did not plan, they just start with it. So they start with it, 15 minutes, they've not reached anywhere. 20 minutes, they're reading things they are not understanding. 30 minutes, they've not done anything. 45 minutes, then the panic begins. Then they are like, I'm dead. Then they are like, I'm failing. There are about 85% of students who leave the exam hall and they know they have failed the exams. Yes, they may not tell you they failed, but they know they have failed the exams. Why? Because they spent time on questions that they are not supposed to spend time with, only to realize 15 minutes to stop work or 30 minutes to stop work that, oh, question 5 was there, question 4 was there. The requirements were something they could have easily written out, easily answered, and that could have passed them. So this is what I want you to do in the exam hall. When you hear start work, don't start writing any answer in your answer booklet. In addition to the 15 minutes reading time that you will be provided or that you will be given, I want you to add probably, listen carefully, I want you to add probably some 20 minutes to that, an additional 20 minutes to the 15 minutes reading time. Now, so in that 20 minutes additional, that is when they say start work, you're going to plan your work out. You're going to plan your work. What are the requirements of the questions? What are you being asked to do? What are the points you need to note down? What are the things you want to do? And this planning should start with the first page in your answer booklet. As I said, this is against conventional wisdom. This is against what you've been told in the past. This is against what you've heard from anywhere. People just tell you, if they say start work and start work. And one of the things that I hear a lot of people saying about consolidated financial statement especially is that when they say do console, put the Proforma down. I mean, how do you start with the Proforma? It doesn't make sense to me, right? So you start with the Proforma, you go now to the footnotes, and you read the footnotes, and you cannot work out the footnotes because you don't even understand what is happening. So you think the Proforma you put down is going to give you any marks? No, it's not going to give you any marks. For your information, the Proforma doesn't come with anything. The examiner is going to mark the total figures that you're going to be putting down. That is what the examiner is going to mark. So don't think you are smart to put Proforma down without doing any workings and begin to slot in figures. You won't get any easy marks for that. Let's say you are doing consolidated statement of financial position. You know property, plant and equipment must be there. The parent, the sub, fair value adjustment. So people put the Proforma down, everything. Then they bring the parent and the sub. The adjustment they've not done. They think they will get marks for that. I mean, how many marks can you get for that? 0. If anything, 1. Okay? 0. If anything, 1. So this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And I know unconsciously this is going to be challenging. I know unconsciously this is going to be difficult. But if you can do it, then you can increase your chances of passing the examination. If you can do this thing, then the likelihood of you passing the exams is going to be very high. So in addition to the 15 minutes reading time, I want you to add 20 minutes to this. Now, if you're writing strategic case study, that means you require 40 minutes for planning. You require 40 minutes for planning the work. But then, if you're writing any other subjects, advanced taxation, advanced audit, you are writing subjects such as corporate reporting. You're writing subjects such as corporate reporting, financial reporting, public sector accounting and finance, then you must add 20 minutes. In that 20 minutes, in the first 20 minutes, people will be writing. You see, this thing is not a marathon. You see, it's not 100 meters we are running. It is an exams you're writing. Now, the fact that somebody is busily writing something doesn't mean the person is writing anything. They can actually be writing crap. on the answer booklet. So I want you to add 20 minutes to the 15 minutes reading time. So when the examiner says, when the invigilator says start work, rings the bell, start work, don't start writing any answer down. On the first page of your answer booklet, you're gonna write out your answers. Take time and read through the questions comfortably. You see, if you're able to use the 20 minutes for the planning, it is now going to be easier for you to answer the questions. So spend an additional 20 minutes from the starting time to plan out your work. Read through all the questions, and you will be surprised that maybe you thought you could have started with consolidation, but it's rather good to go to question 5 and answer the questions on ethics and answer the questions on conceptual framework and regulatory framework. The ratio is easy, you could do it. Or the question 2, it's easy, you could do it. So this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And as I said, I know this is against every conventional wisdom that you've heard anywhere. All right? But I want you to know, because conventional wisdom is almost always wrong. It is almost always wrong. Now, if you're able to use that 20 minutes and control your emotions, not be pressured, not thinking that people are writing answers and I'm planning, I'm wasting time. If you're able to manage that emotional balance that you're going to be having in that 20 minutes, you will save yourself a lot of time and be able to write out what you need to write. So in this 20 minutes, you thoroughly read through all the questions. Then you mark out. I need to go and do question 1, question 5 first, because these are easy questions. I can quickly remember the things, write down your points, you plan it out. You can the second best you can do is, it's always advisable to start with the ones you can easily do. You see, in the exam hall, as I said, it's not about competition. You're not in the exam hall to please the examiner. You don't even know the examiner from anywhere. It is not about like you want to marry somebody or you want to date somebody, so you try to please the person, you try to dress the way, you try to eat some way, you try to walk some way so that you please the person and lure the person for the person to love you. In the exam hall, it's not about pleasing, it's about getting marks. So as much as possible, you must strategize yourself in such a way that you will get the easy marks. It is the easy marks that adds up together that gives you your pass mark. But some of you are too full of yourself. You go to the exam hall very egotistic, and you sort of start questions that you don't have the capacity to start, but I don't know, but you start with it anyway, and you get up, you get caught up. 30 minutes, you realize that you've not gone anywhere. 40 minutes, you realize that you've not gone anywhere. Then the pressure begins. So after 40 minutes, you've not done anything substantial. After 40 minutes, you've not really answered any better question. Then you realize that you begin to become scared. You begin to become afraid. That is where you start feeling. You see, immediately you feel pressured in the exam hall, chances are you've started feeling. That's it. That's it. Because 40 minutes has gone by, you realize that the question you touch, you will get 0. So if the question you've touched, you realize you get 0 or maybe 5 marks, then you start saying that I'm dead, because you have 4 more questions to go. And this is what happens in the exam hall. And I know you have experienced this before in an exam hall. You realize that 15 minutes to stop work, you go to question 4 or you go to question 1. Then you realize that it was an easy question. It was a question you could have answered easily, gotten the whole marks or about 90% of the marks, and that could have propelled, that could have pushed you, that could have helped you to be able to pass the exams. So if you are going into the exam hall, this is what I want you to do. Add 20 minutes to the 15 minutes reading time, and use that 20 minutes to thoroughly, comprehensively read all the 5 questions. When you read all the 5 questions thoroughly, understand whatever you are required to do, then you can now begin to write out your work, write